So a lot of people want to get their dream body, but essentially just don't know what to do. Today I want to answer that question for you. I want to give you the step-by-step formula on how to go about your dream body, how to get the results a lot quicker, how to get the right information, what information you need, and essentially how to give you this step-by-step blueprint to success. And I'll even throw in some bonus tips at the end to make sure you get there 100% successfully by staying to the end of this video. You're going to get everything I have, and it took me 7 years and 10 minutes. So with that being said, let's get right into the video, guys. So when we look about achieving our dream body, we have to understand the basics, the foundational framework we're going to operate around. So when I talk about this, let's focus on our core muscles, our shoulders, our chest, our legs, our back, our biceps, triceps, or arms essentially, and then we have our core. So I hope I didn't miss any. And those are essentially our main core muscles. Now what I want to do is go into the subcategories of each muscle. For example, when we look at our shoulders, there's three part of our shoulder essentially. We have our front delt, our rear delt, and our side delt. Now, since we have our core muscles, so say we list, what I want you guys to do is have every single core muscle and then the sub or break down the muscle into its core category. So example, for the shoulder, we have our side, we have our rear, we have our lateral. For chest, we have our upper chest, our middle chest, and then our lower chest. Next, what I want you guys to do is actually break this down by compound movement and isolation movements. I'm going to explain why you guys should do this, but when we talk about our compound movements, ask yourself what compound movements correlate to that muscle group. For example, for our legs, we have the squat. For our chest, we have a bench press. For back, we have rows. For shoulders, we have an overhead shoulder press. I think you guys get the point. So when we do that, next, of course, you guys are going to put the muscle group. You're going to list down the subcategories of each muscle, the compound group, and now we're going to go into the isolation movements. So the isolation movements are key, guys, because this is where the money is right here. Niches are in the riches essentially, but this essentially is how you're going to get the results a lot quicker. So what I want you guys to do essentially is look at each isolation movement. If you're asking me what an isolation movement is, when you can actually hit that singular muscle group at the mind muscle connection. And I'll explain a little more about the mind muscle connection in a second. But looking back in our example, we'll go back to our shoulder example. So again, guys, our compound lift is say a shoulder press or overhead shoulder press. We can use this with dumbbells or with machines or with a Smith machine, whatever it is, preference based. Now we're going to go into the isolation movement. So again, we have our three parts of our shoulder. We have our front, we have our rear, and we have our side. Now, what I want you to do is look at each one of those three parts of the muscle. So as again, I mentioned 5 seconds ago. And now I want to look at different ways of hitting that muscle. So for example, what we're going to do now is look at our front lateral. Our front lateral, we can use dumbbells or cables or an easy bar essentially. If you don't know an easy bar, just search on Google and the image will pop up right in your head. I just don't have one available right next to me essentially. So when we look at that, guys, that's three different variations of hitting the same muscle group. So when we do that, now we can do that for every single one. And as you guys can see, we're going to get a lot of different options when working out and changing our workouts. This is extremely important for growth because our body, if you do the same workouts over and over again, you're going to get stagnant growth. You're going to get progress plateaus. You're not going to be able to see results at a quicker rate. So what I want you guys to start to do is intertwine these different isolation movements. Start switching out your compounds and changing up your splits. All these different things, guys, and you could really build a successful workout plan that allows you to get the blueprint to success because essentially you're breaking it down by category by category by category. And essentially to glue this all together, and essentially give you the bonus step is we're going to actually look at our splits. Everyone's going to say, there's only so many splits I could do. Yeah, you're right. I'm going to give you a different perspective on it. So guys, different splits that we could work around depending on how many days you can hit the gym is I'll start off with the least and then I'll go into the best. So the least, of course, effective is the ability. Actually, I'm going to give you guys a little intro onto how to understand if you're essentially picking the right splits. So when we're looking at our splits, guys, the main focus of our splits essentially is the ability to hit multiple muscle groups at once at a increase per week. So when I talk about this, a lot of people say, Alex, I'm not seeing muscle growth. And I'm like, how many times do you hit each muscle group? Yeah, only 1 to 2 times per week. let me give you some perspective. I hit each muscle group 4 to 5 times per week, and I compound that consistency. Of course, I'm getting results a lot quicker with my comparing it with my nutrition. I mean, that's like, it's basics 101. If you're not hitting the muscle group, you're not going to see the growth. So what I want you guys to do is correlate how many times you hit that muscle group with the splits. And again, you guys could take the iterations and pieces, as I mentioned earlier, from your compound and your isolation. So when we talk about it, the first one we have is the bro split. The bro split, essentially, you do arms one day, you do shoulders one day, you do chest. Yes, this may be good because you're getting hyper focused and you may essentially be able to lift a lot of weight per that muscle group. But essentially, guys, we revert it back to our main question: are we essentially hitting it 1 to 2 times or 4 to 5 times per week? And the answer is 1 to 2 times, and that's why we're getting stagnant growth. The next is upper or lower body. The problem with the next split essentially is, as you could tell, upper is all 5 muscle groups and lower is just the legs. And essentially, it's very hard to get the growth because you're not going to be able to increase the volume because you're using all different parts of your body. Unless you want to work out for 4 hours, which I think essentially a lot of people don't want to do, it's not very beneficial. Maybe it is good for like a 3 or 4 day split, but per days per week. So 2 upper, 2 lower, or maybe throw the legs, that's 5, but not my favorite one, and I don't think it's effective. Next, we're going to the Arnold split. The Arnold split is where you hit 2 muscle groups per day. So a total for 6 days, so you do 3 of each. So when I talk about this, essentially, we have our, say, for example, back and bis, chest and tris, legs and shoulders. That's just my example, guys. I know probably won't hit legs and shoulders, and you repeat those again. So we have legs and shoulder 2x, chest and tris 2x, and maybe throw biceps in there, chest and arms, and the last one times 2. So those two, 6 days per week. And yes, this may be effective. And honestly, I still kind of do stuff like this because it gives me a different way of working out. But I think it's all based off preference. If you could, increase the amount of times you hit each muscle group per week, then there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally fine to increase the amount of growth. But the number one option I want to leave you guys with is push-pull legs. Push, as we revert to, is essentially chest, shoulder, triceps, and pull, back and bis, and legs, and usually abs are paired with it. That gives us the ability to essentially hit the most muscle groups per week to increase our growth at a quicker rate. So when we implement all this stuff, guys, in a step-by-step process, you're going to see growth a lot quicker. You're going to get the blueprint to success. You're essentially not going to spend 2 hours in the gym, but maybe 30 to 45 minutes by increasing our intensity of our workouts, going from 20 and 30 seconds instead, of having maybe you're resting from 5 to 6 minutes or 1 to 2 minutes. Increasing the intensity allows us to, of course, get a better sweat going and essentially build our muscle quicker. So again, guys, I didn't want to make this video too long. I hope it was beneficial, that you guys got the step-by-step blueprint, and I hope those kind of bonus tips I left at the end really helped you. And another bonus tip I guess I'll throw out there, because you guys stayed to the end, is make sure you have a gym buddy. Make sure you have someone to work out with, to push you to get better, to make you show up when you don't want to essentially go. You don't go essentially based off emotion, but you go off discipline. They make you essentially work to failure in every set. I mean, guys, that's key. Working to failure to every set. And if you're saying, what do you mean? Like, I don't have someone to spot me. That's fine. What I want you guys to do is use machine. Machines are a good way to PR. Of course, don't hurt yourself, but PR, and you have a spot in, because you could essentially fail and you're not going to kill yourself. So please be careful. As always, I think I have to say that, but make sure you're always careful. Make sure you always have a spot if you're needed. But the machines are a good way to essentially go about it a different way, and if you don't have a spot handy. So again, guys, thank you for watching this video. I hope I answered all your questions. Again, as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you thought this was helpful. And again, guys, if I'm actually curious, make sure you leave down below your favorite workout split. I'll tell you mine, push pull legs, but if you have different ones, I'm definitely open to hearing what you guys like to do, and maybe I'll throw it into what I do today. But again, guys, as always, thank you for watching another great channel in the video. Any questions, any comments you have, always make sure to leave them down below, so I could maybe make future modules or future videos based off this and some of the stuff you want to hear. So thank you guys for watching another video on the channel, and I'll go ahead and see you in the next one.